Good morning. My name is Miss Khadijah. I'm welcoming you from Khadijah Ramadan, doing business as Loving Care, Minnesota. I'm also a partner and an independent contractor with several organizations within the Twin Cities and the surrounding areas, including and not limited to the United States and worldwide. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about me. Khadijah A. Ramadan is a brand, but also a person. So that's me. People refer to me as Miss Khadijah, and I am also a Zola ambassador. So you might ask me, what is Zola? Zola, and I'll show you my slides, and then I'll share with you some other things. This is the Zola experience. And the goal of Zola is to talk about basically change. And a lot of my clients, my partners, my friends and family experience loss. We all experience loss as human beings. We experience loss in a lot of different settings and a lot of different situations. And so the creator of the Zola experience is Khadijah A. Bryant. Khadijah is an LMFT, among other things. And she's the founder and creator of the Zola experience. And she wrote a book in probably before 2020, but published it in 2020. And I was able to be part of some of the early ambassadors of the Zola experience. And there are a lot of changes that have been made, including going worldwide. And so we have a plan to retreat to Thailand, I believe in April. But before that, I would like to offer this introductory experience to you. Now, keep in mind that this is something that is ongoing. It's something that you will continue to be able to use in everyday life. And so one thing I'd like to share with you is that if you are a participant of the Zola experience, you also have the opportunity at the end of it to become an ambassador like myself or other clinicians. You can use this also for the needs of your patients, your clients. And so I just want to share a little bit about Zola and also answer any questions that you might have. So let me just go over some of the initial information about the Zola experience. So I'm just going to read this right from the beginning of the book. Grieving from the loss of a lost love object is as unique to the individual as one's fingerprints. No two people go through this process alike. The commonality of the experience of grief after a loss is that we will all experience it. We must all find our way through the experience. So recovering from loss is a process. It's not an event. When we think about our lives over the spectrum of time, we have been faced with losses and we have overcome the emotions that come with such an experience. As the elders would say, just live long enough. We possess everything we need to get through the experience of loss and the lessons that come with it. Sometimes we need to dig a little deeper to find understanding from a loss. There are other times when the loss is clearly a mental and physical relief for the one who has transitioned, as well as those that remain on the side of the plane, thinking about death and loss. Regardless of what the loss is, the universe makes no mistakes, and it becomes our job to understand the wisdom and the actions of one's higher power, whatever that is for you. Zola is the essence and the process of grief, as well as the essence of life. Zola is an African origin word that means to love. The moving on past the loss is a true testament of love of self, as well as a transition loved one or love object. So, as I like to say, it is a journey of love, a journey of life. That is Zola. So the Zola experience is conducted in 7 sessions. So over the next 7 sessions, what we will do as a facilitator and an ambassador of the Zola experience is embark upon a journey with you to begin your healing process. Some of the people present may be further along in their process of moving on than others. And remember, this is not a competition. It's each individual journey in a collective space. This will be a time of sharing with each other, not only with the experience of losing that loss of love object, but most importantly, of sharing What has helped you to move past the experience and embrace it as part of life? It is our hope, and it is my hope, that you will remain open to the process and allow yourself to take some risk and be vulnerable, to become more insightful, recognizing that this is a new experience for everyone. Even if you've done the Zola experience before, every time is different. The 7 sessions will be facilitated by experienced facilitators and clinicians like myself to support you on your journey. The group session training will be trained via Zoom or another telehealth option. Login information will be forwarded to you upon completion of your registration, so you do need to register. You may arrive early. I encourage people to arrive early to enjoy the fellowship and ask questions of your facilitator so that we can begin promptly, especially for in-person sessions. You may be given simple tasks to complete between sessions, so if we do this over a course of time, we have breaks in between. But if we're doing it all in the same weekend, you'll still have breaks, but they'll be a little bit shorter. Typically, the Zola experience, if you're doing it as a retreat, is 2 days, 2 8-hour days. If you're doing it as something smaller, we break it over 7 different sessions, and it could go as many as every week, every month, every 2 weeks, whatever that looks like for the group. So, again, for the virtual sessions, please make sure that you have a paper and pen. I myself encourage people who are attending to make sure you have the Zola Experience book. If you don't have the book, make sure that you ask for ways to get it. It is available on Amazon and also at the Zola Experience website. Because we're going to be touching upon several topics for discussion, some of the sessions will be more experiential and we'll move through them a little faster as we go through the sharing process. It is important that you allow yourself to be as open and vulnerable as possible to the group. Self-care is important. Please take care of yourself. If you need ideas for self-care, please talk to me as your facilitator or the co-facilitator. Remember, the goal of this group is to support each other through the process. Together, yes, we can. Now, there are more things that you will need to know about the Zola experience. 7 sessions with the Zola experience is very, very important that you have the book or that you have slides and that you keep yourself open to the idea of healing through your grief. Now, I just want to share a little bit more with you as you come into the Zola experience. With the Zola experience, you will be asked to, like I said, be vulnerable. And your facilitator, myself or some other facilitators, will make sure that they talk about each of the things that we're going to do. One part that I like to tell people is that this is a wellness experience. The goal of it is to heal you. So at the beginning of our wellness experience, I'll be asking you to give a brief introduction. It will be something like this. Who are you? My name is Miss Khadijah. I am a mental health provider. I have a master's degree in psychological counseling. I work for several different institutions, and part of my goals as a clinician are to be able to offer healing, support, and be a partner on your journey through whatever you're going through. Who referred me to the Zola experience? Well, I actually was referred by one of my colleagues and my supervisor when I worked for Hope and Healing Counseling Services. And occasionally I still work with this person, and I'm hoping that we will continue to work together as we explore ways to help and ways to heal. Why did you decide to come? That's a great question. Well, when I first decided to come to the Zola experience, I had just started back working as a person who identifies as a person of color. I had gone through a lot of personal griefs and losses, and I go through griefs and losses all the time because that's part of life. And I was invited to come, and I was told by the supervisor that this might be something that would be really helpful for you. And so I didn't have big expectations other than I was coming to learn, I was coming to be open, and I was coming to be vulnerable in a space that would offer me healing through the parts of my life that maybe were unhealed. What is the importance of self-awareness? So you have to know yourself to be able to really truly get through or experience the full capacity of the Zola experience. However, that's what our job is as your group, as your facilitator, to help you learn and experience more about yourself and go in a little bit deeper. The most beautiful thing about the Zola experience is that you can also do it as an individual session with your individual counselor. You can do it in your church communities. You can do it as a book that you read for, like a book club. But most importantly, it's that you offer comfort to each other. And so self-care is a big part of the Zola experience. Your comfort is important to us. You will be encouraged to share. There will be journaling exercises. I let people know that you do it the way that works the best for you. There's no grammar checks. There's no spell checks. There's no hand-ins. You don't have to hand in anything. All of this is for you. And I keep all of my records from each Zola experience that I do. Now, I have to read this disclaimer. This is not considered a professional clinic group therapy. However, as your facilitator and a group therapist and a person who is trained under the licensure of a licensed clinician, I am able to explore a little bit more with you about the psychological and mental health aspects of this wellness experience. So we create a proposed group agreement. That's something that as a group we decide. We need to talk about how often we want to meet. My initial proposal is that we meet once a month, but there are so many things that happen during the month that this could be a good time to, in between sessions, talk with your individual counselor. The goal is to make this a safe space for everyone. And we're going to ask that you raise your hand and say, you know what? I agree to make this a safe space. What happens in this group stays in this group unless I'm meeting with my individual counselor, and then they have a responsibility to practice good ethics, do no harm, etc. So when you come to this group, come with an open mind and be prepared to work through some losses, some grief. You will need a journal, a pen, folders. Some people will get a composition book. There are 7 modules or 7 sessions, and I will share a few words about each. So the first session is thinking about your loss. And so in each session, there will be a reflective reading. And typically that reflective reading is something that the facilitator brings, or we might even ask people of the group, depending on what the group says, if somebody wants to bring a reflective reading. And what these reflective readings are cues to help you get into the mode and the space to really process your grief, your loss, or your experiences that led to coming to the Zola experience today. You may be here because your counselor recommended that you come. Each time that we get together, we'll do a reflective reading. There will be an introduction. We'll talk about the last session. We'll reflect on time when you experienced a loss. So just imagine that when you come, you're in a safe space. We're going to make a lot of connections. This is a group, and you get the option of what you would like to share, what tools you use to process your grief in the past. And basically, it will look like after we've gone through part of the module, as we get bigger or as the group is larger, we may break into smaller groups and find, as a facilitator, our job is to find connections. It's okay to sit in silence. Anyone else that wants to share is able to share. A lot of the sessions are really, really important, and they can be heavy. And so we do take breaks. We encourage breaks. And we also tell you to please listen to your body, listen to your heart. Again, there's personal philosophies, faith, spirituality, whatever helps you through your grief process. It's not the same for everybody. And this is a judgment-free zone. The only thing that I would encourage is that we allow each person to give their space and their time to reflect and to give each person the support that comes from being in a group collective. Again, there will be affirmations. There will be people who resonate more with each other. There will be things that maybe are left unsaid that we come back to. Again, it's about reflective writing, it's about sharing, and it's about connecting. We'll talk about what messages you received from your family of origin about grief and loss. will experience conversations about traumas, early childhood traumas, including loss of your true self, your vulnerable self. Maybe there's concerns that you have with your uh, physical abilities, your body image. If you experience any health issues, things that you expected to happen in your life and did not. We'll talk about spirituality from a standpoint of how does it play in your life. There's some people who have found that spirituality was not what resonated for them. And that's what I said, there's a judgment-free zone. You're not required to have spirituality. It is a part of a lot of what the Zola experience is, but it's not only that. We want to have space for unresolved grief, opening up to being free of the pain parts and keeping the parts that resonate for you. We're going to, again, self-care. We're going to talk about what's healthy and helpful for you, including nutrition, sleep. We're going to talk about affirmations. It's okay to let go of things that don't serve you. We're going to check in from previous sessions. We'll do some breakouts. We'll make sure that each session we sign in, and you can sign in either on the chat, say your name, where you're from, and as much information as you're comfortable sharing. I'll give handouts at times. We'll give you suggestions about self-care and why self-care is important and how to support you. Keep in mind that not all self-care is for you. You get to manage and take control of what happens to you in this session. We do talk about different breathing exercise. We talk about tapping, and I will give little excerpts that you can do at home on your own. Basically, the whole purpose of this, beyond healing through your grief and loss and empowering yourself, is to develop a positive support network. If you need help with finding ways to volunteer to help others, that's another way to do self-care. Move your body. A lot of times I'll encourage people to go and stretch, do some yoga, take a walk outside. If after each of the sessions you desire to go deeper than we went as a group, you can always talk to your individual therapist. And if you don't have one, we can always recommend one for you. You can practice this at home. You can share some of the ideas and concepts, but again, we ask that you don't share the deeper parts of the group because that's sacred. So we will go through each day and each session and make sure we ask questions. We'll save space, and at the end of all of this, we encourage you to take care of yourself. Sometimes when we go through this, it's a process, and so we want to make sure that everybody feels encouraged, feels supported. We ask that you keep your camera on. If you need to take your camera off for a little while, make sure that you just let the group know, hey, I'm going to take a break. I need to kind of ground myself, and that's okay. And we do have my co-facilitators are trained in de-escalation as well as the Zola experience so that you can feel comfortable and confident that this is a good fit for you. At the end of everything that we do, we will do a legacy tribute, and it will be a place to talk about what you learned. And it's okay if that love object that you are missing is not here, but it is also okay to remember them and remember it and remember the thoughts and the process. And I just want to take that as a way that you can grow, you can evolve. And I hope that at the end of this session, the 7 sessions, that you feel more grounded, more settled, feel like the Zola experience was something that you really, really could grow from and learn from, and that you'll do it again. Last but not least, the sessions that we do at the Zola experience, we tailor them to each of our groups. So some groups may have a bigger group. Some groups may have a smaller group. The most important part is that everybody participates and that we make space for everybody to participate. It's also important that you know that you're unique. There's nothing about you that is exactly like another person, whether you're a twin or you're just a single individual. The design and uses of the Zola experience are something that you can integrate into your everyday life. You can integrate into your practice. And the entire process is about recovery, getting stronger, self-care, and empowering yourself. And here's a last thought. For love healeth the wounded. It binds up the brokenhearted. It makes for understanding where differences have risen. For your creator is love. And in this place, it says case, God is love. And we wanted you to know that we care about you as your facilitators and as individuals. And through this session of humanity and this time for empowerment and getting to know you, we want to make sure that this process enables you to go forward after a loss, and it helps you so that you can love again, because on the other side of grief is love. Thank you.